What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Got my blue blockers on. A lot of time in the studio. Today I want to talk about leads and what you can do with them, how to warm them up, and let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Once again, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott King. I run a DJ company over here in Orlando, Florida. www.djsorlando.com if you want to check that out. Also, Coach Scott King, the website's right here, where I teach NLP, hypnosis, internet marketing, and much more. It just keeps growing and growing. So make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. And today, I want to talk a little bit about leads. So made a little slideshow right here. And understanding leads in the DJ industry. If you're out there and you're looking to get more clients, this might help you out along the way. So leads, right? Let's talk about them. What is your prospect? Like, who's going to be out there getting your services? Today we're just going to talk about engaged couples and corporate clients, because that's where the money is. Now, I know there's a lot of DJs out there and they go from club to club to club, and well, basically that's a different animal. Let's look at targeted people that are looking for professional DJ services for mobile events, corporate events, weddings, that kind of thing. So up next, understanding clients' pain points. And I have a whole app in another video to check out as well, where we just talk about pain points of engaged couples. And I have an app that you can white label and put your logo on and present it as your own, so you can set yourself as the professional. I'll leave a link somewhere down below if you want to check that video out. Actually, going to be making a new video because I did a bunch of upgrades to the app to make it more useful. And basically, they're engaged couples, right? They have trust issues. How many DJs are out there? I did a search on Google and it was like 450 some odd DJ businesses in Orlando. And it's like, what do you do to stand out above all of that? Let's just say there's a bunch of noise in the industry, and then you can rise above it. So yeah, engaged couples, they get trust issues. Even corporate people, they probably booked somebody that wasn't very good in the past, and pretty much they're looking to get something better than what they had. And your job as the business owner is to put their mind at ease. And how do you do that? Well, let's talk about some other pain points, right? You want to make sure that you're putting, educational material into their inbox. So you're educating them on things they may not be aware of, because, engaged couples aren't getting married every single weekend, right? And, somebody who's been to corporate, they probably don't know all the things that go on in your world. And in your world, it may seem like the greatest thing on the planet, but not everybody's in your world. And you may talk to people thinking they have all the same understandings that you do, and at the same time, they don't. So that's why we have the educational material to put them on the right track, on your track. And professionalism. How clean is your website? How clean are your emails? How clean are your YouTube videos, your social posts, that kind of thing. The more professional you look, the more you'll set the mind at ease of whoever's looking to get your services. So just keep that in mind. Here's something pretty important, right? It's important to understand that leads are basically grouped into 3 different categories. So a cold lead is somebody who doesn't really know who you are. They've barely connected your name to your service. So, I'm looking for a DJ. I got 450 in front of me. Like, let's just pick a couple. Because as a consumer, right, you'd want to talk to a couple different people to kind of get an idea of, price point, do I like this personality of somebody else? And well, you can get ahead of the game when you get a cold lead by doing follow-ups, right? So the cold lead is somebody that doesn't know who you are. A warm lead is somebody that, may have heard of you before. They may have seen you on social media. They may be already warmed up to who you are. And basically, they're ready to book. You just got to do a little convincing along the way to ensure that they've, their assumptions are correct, kind of thing. And then there's hot leads. They may have seen you at another event, or they had a friend of theirs say, oh, this guy's amazing, you got to go ahead and get this person. And there you go. That'd be easier to book a hot lead who's already ready to book. All you have to do is put the offer in front of them. And as long as everything makes sense and your contracting is solid, right? All they have to do is sign and then send you money. So let's talk about what's on the next slide here. So me personally, I'll move my head around. Boom. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been able to grow my business to 372K, and I did it with all the understandings that I have today. So that's another thing one of my coaches says, right? Like, if you could just understand that, the law of damn it, this person didn't book. Maybe they had your contract in front of them, and then their kid or something yells at them, and then they got to leave the screen, and then they've lost it, right? So what's your follow-up like? Like the law of damage. So if we can just understand that the law is there, then we can just accept that and then work around it. And as long as we have the proper protocols in play, that'll be a better chance or more likely that they'll go with your service. They're already convinced, and then they have to, just go back and find that contract or find that video, and if you're always following up with them, then that'll be easier for them to do, right? Now, it's all about as easy as you can make it for them to, basically put their money into your pocket, right? So just keep that in mind, and the better your systems are, the easier that'll be to do. And me, I know I put 15 years plus experience, but if I put my real experience in there, I'd be really showing my age at that point. Right? So put my head in the center here. So multi-channel engagement strategies, right? Let's talk about that for a second. When it comes to somebody that wants to, be convinced that they want to go with your service, think about it like this. Like, if you were going to get somebody else's service, what check marks in your mind would have to be checked in order to feel comfortable going with that service, right? I have another video that explains, why people buy, and there's basically 4 different types of buyer types. And with this strategy, the circle grid, we do our best to cover all 4 of those categories so that they feel comfortable that you've touched one of their categories. And basically, you wouldn't be able to find out which one of their buying categories are unless you got them on the phone and started asking the right calibration questions, if that makes sense. So I have a whole nother video on that. Make sure to drop me a line down below, and I'll make sure to get you that link. All right, so number 1, video, YouTube channels. Put yourself on the screen and explain more about your services. Number 1, it puts your personality up front. Number 2, it shows your professionalism, and it actually displays exactly what you have. So the better your videos are, the more likely somebody is going to feel comfortable going with your service. And there's another thing to keep in mind too. When it comes to dealing with leads, a lot of people could be wasting your time, and you as the business owner want to make sure that you have this as streamlined as possible so that somebody who's a tire kicker isn't wasting your time, because you can spend all this time on somebody and then at the end they're like, oh, I'm not going to book. So if you can make this process as thoughtless or streamlined as possible, it'll be better off for you so that you can be able to spend the time with the people that do appreciate your service, that kind of thing. And then I have a new system that I just implemented within a week. Like, I got a Go High Level account, and it starts to do texting. Now, why is that important? Like, I got a chat bot on my website, and people can text that number and then start asking questions. Now, of course, the number 1 question is, what's your prices? And they could be texting you from WhatsApp app or Facebook, or they go on your site, or for whatever channel they want to text you at. The Go High Level, which I have another video, make sure to check that out, will also respond to whatever channel it is. It takes all these different ways people will talk to you and funnel it into one spot, which has been a lifesaver. And I've only had the service for like a week. Make sure to check that video out as well. All right, so what are some other ways we can engage people into your service? Emails, right? Go High Level. I have a whole campaign, which I have another video that explains my campaign service for my emails. And then, of course, the number 1 or most powerful convincer would be phone calls. If you get on the phone with somebody and you start asking them the right questions, which I have another NLP language pattern protocol and script of how to ask people questions, how to build rapport, and that's somewhere on the channel as well. And that's pretty important because you want people to warm up to your personality. And what are the right questions, right? Are you just telling people what you're going to do, or are you asking them and then going from there? So keep that in mind as well. And then, of course, I got the chatbot on the website. Phone calls are important. And then now what I've learned is that in this new day and age, which I haven't really implemented a lot of texting into my Streamline service until just recently. And the reason I did is because the professionals that I go and see have been telling me that most people just want to do things with their phone. And you don't want to go against the grain, and you want to be able to comply as much as possible, even though I don't think someone would sign a contract with me just through texting unless they had a chance to talk to me. And so keep that in mind as well, that you want to make sure to get them on the phone. And how committed are they to your service, right? Committed to you. So next slide, I guess. I'll beat that one with a dead horse. All right, so look at this little AI generation right here. Boom, I'll put my head over it. All right, so here's another important thing. When somebody comes to you, you want to put them on a track, right? So all these people are existing in their universe, right? And then they come to you and it's like, well, I have this track, and then if this makes sense to you, then you can go with my service. And as long as you're a professional and it makes sense, right? You're not telling somebody to go do something that doesn't make any sense, then they'll be able to do it. Oh, okay. Again, these people are all over the place, and it's not like, well, wedding leads aren't getting married every single weekend, so they don't understand how that works. And how easy are you making it for them to book a call with you? Again, Go High Level has a calendar app, and you can set the parameters. Like I just do my calls on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for Zoom calls because we're busy on the weekend. And, that would make the most sense. I've actually had a lead hit me up and say, oh, I can't make a Zoom call 6 months from now because I set it to only 2 weeks at a time. So if you had to, plan a vacation or something like that, and somebody's booking a Zoom call 6 months from now, that wouldn't really be beneficial, right? So parameters, all about your parameters. So initial contact, that's pretty important as well. Like how fast are you able to respond to somebody that, hit you up? So I have another video that explains canned responses, right? Oh, what's your prices? Well, this is what we do. Here's our links. Check this out. And then an email system that follows up. Did you check out those videos? Do you want to sit down and talk with us? We do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or you can pick up the phone. I have someone in the office that'll be able to answer these questions for you and, put a proper offer in front of you. And especially if you haven't trained your team yet, when I was starting out, I had to learn the system back and front, right? And then once I was able to work out the kinks, then I can make something streamlined and something easy for one of my assistants to follow. Consultation. That's 90% of how most of my contracts are signed. You want them to sign up with a Zoom call or maybe even on a phone call, and then get them an offer ASAP. And then, well, here's the deal, right? Someone gives you a call and they want, a DJ on a Saturday in December. You're like, hey, look, here's the offer. It puts the DJ on hold. We'll give you a 7-day grace period. And then, of course, if they reach back to you and say, hey, look, I need more time to think about it, at least they did that step to get back to you, right? So that's a pretty good convincer that they're probably going to go with your service, especially if you respond to them quickly and say, hey, look, I understand you're on vacation or you're out of town and you need a little bit more time to gather your thoughts, notes, talk to other vendors, which is another thing too. I had somebody hit me up and say, oh, I'm still waiting for another vendor to get me a contract. Well, when you called us, were you waiting? No, right? So that should be a convincer all on its own. Not that you wouldn't want to say something that forward, but at the same time, subconsciously, that message is set. So, and then booking. Do you have a clear path, right? Like for them to, sign a contract and get back to you, and digital signatures, and is your CRM, up to date and efficient, right? It's all about efficiency, because I'm all about, scaling, right? How easy and automated can we make things so that we can move on to the next. I have like 12 DJs that I want to keep pretty busy. So me personally, I'll put my head over that guy. Me personally, I I've spent a lot of time with NLP and hypnosis, and a lot of people might be like, well, that's voodoo and stuff. At the same time, it taught me how people think, how to make things feel natural, right? How to ask the right questions, how to build rapport. So when you learn from some of the best hypnotists on the planet, they teach you how to, talk to people and help fix their problems without even finding out what the problem is. And then you just ask certain questions to bring out what really they're looking for, and then you can then deliver on what your capabilities are. And I have a whole training on that too, somewhere in the YouTube channel. So CRMs, right? So I've been working with DJ Event Planner for, I don't know, the longest time. And then recently, I've been into ClickFunnels, and I've been into all these other, CRMs. And then when I found Go High Level, I was like, oh, wow, I could just start using this now. And then I implemented it in my system. It's been about a month, and the capabilities is phenomenal. Now, I say about a month because I've been training on it for like a year and a half with my coach, and I didn't understand all the different things that it did. And then I just decided to, not basically jump completely off, but mostly it does my internet marketing. It follows up with my new leads, and I don't know, the more that I go, the more I'll, make sure to incorporate more of what it does, because DJ Event Planner is really good at, doing event details, like what's your first song, walking down the aisle. It does all that stuff. One downfall of DJ Event Planner is that it does 1 day contracts, and not for my corporate events. It doesn't do multiple day contracts. So I have to go to Adobe Sign, because corporate people don't want to sign five contracts, one per day. They just want to sign one. Here's your check, handle the 5 days. So I've had to use Adobe Sign for multiple day contracts, whereas with the new system, Go High Level, I could put it all into one and then go to my DJ Event Planner and then put each single day, because each single day will tell the DJ and text message them, oh, here's your day, this type of thing. And I know we're talking about leads today. How do we warm them up, right? So basically what I've learned, 12 to 17 touch points. So I was talking with a wedding planner, and they were like, oh yeah, I just send out 3 or 4 emails, and if they don't get back to me, then I'm probably harassing them. That's not the greatest way to think about it. In fact, I told this person that they needed 12 to 17 touch points to talk to somebody, and because of the way of the world, right? You're flipping through TikTok, you're flipping through whatever your social media is, and people are just designed to have, meaningless death scroll on the social media, right? So I explained to this person that like they needed to do more, or it would be a good idea to follow up more. And this person went home, followed up with 5 of their leads that they pretty much trashed, and booked 3 of them. So again, keep that in mind as well. And that's all I have for today. You guys have been amazing. Again, lots of videos on the YouTube channel. Make sure to check them out. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.